Welcome back to English Flow. Can I ask you a question? Have you ever said an English word with confidence, only to realize later you'd been pronouncing it incorrectly the whole time? That happened to me more than once. And honestly, the first time it happened, I felt embarrassed. I remember listening to an English podcast one afternoon. The speaker said a word that sounded familiar. I knew the spelling, I knew the meaning. I'd even used it in my own sentences. But something felt strange. It didn't sound the way I expected. I paused the podcast. I listened again. Then again. Finally, I searched for the pronunciation. And there it was. For months, I'd been saying the word completely differently. At first, I laughed. Then I thought, if I've been saying this word wrong, how many other words am I pronouncing incorrectly? That question stayed in my mind for a long time. Today, I want to tell you what I learned from that experience. Not because my pronunciation is perfect, it isn't. I'm still improving every day. But I changed the way I practice pronunciation, and it has made speaking English much more comfortable. I thought reading was enough. When I first started learning English, most of my study time was spent reading. I read articles, I read grammar explanations, I read vocabulary lists. Reading helped me learn many new words, but it also created a hidden problem. I knew what many words looked like. I didn't know what many words sounded like. So whenever I found a new word, I guessed the pronunciation. Sometimes my guess was close. Sometimes it wasn't. The problem was that I kept repeating my own incorrect pronunciation. Every repetition made the mistake stronger. I wasn't practicing English. I was practicing the mistake. That realization changed the way I learned new words forever. The habit that changed everything. Now, whenever I learn a new word, I do one extra step. Before I write it down, before I memorize it, I listen to it. Sometimes I listen once, sometimes 3 or 4 times. I pay attention to the rhythm, the stress, the sounds. Then I repeat it out loud. Not once, several times. At first, it felt slow. I wanted to learn more words. But later, I realized something. Learning 10 words correctly is better than learning 50 words with the wrong pronunciation. I stopped trying to sound perfect. There was another mistake I used to make. Whenever I heard native speakers, I compared myself to them. I wanted to sound exactly the same. When I couldn't, I felt disappointed. Then I realized something important. My goal isn't to sound exactly like someone else. My goal is to be understood. Clear pronunciation matters much more than a perfect accent. That thought removed a lot of pressure. Now, when I practice pronunciation, I don't ask, do I sound like a native speaker? Instead, I ask, would another English speaker understand me? That question has helped me much more. The power of listening before speaking. One habit I wish I had started earlier is listening carefully before repeating. Sometimes we rush to say a new word before we've really heard it. Now I slow down. I listen. I notice which part of the word is stressed. I notice how the speaker connects the sounds. Then I repeat it. That small habit has improved my pronunciation much more than simply reading words from a page. For a long time, I believed pronunciation was something you either had or you didn't. But eventually, I discovered that pronunciation is a skill. And like every skill, it improves with the right kind of practice. We'll talk about that next. Before we continue, I want to tell you something I wished someone had told me when I first started learning English. Having an accent is normal. For a long time, I thought an accent was a problem. I listened to native speakers and compared every word I said with every word they said. When my pronunciation sounded different, I felt like I was failing. But then I realized something. Everyone has an accent. If someone from England speaks to someone from Australia, they don't sound exactly the same. If someone from Canada speaks to someone from the United States, there are differences too. The goal isn't to erase your accent. The goal is to speak clearly enough that people understand you. That idea took away a lot of pressure. I started listening more carefully. There was another habit that made a huge difference. Instead of only listening for the meaning of a sentence, I started listening for how the speaker said it. I noticed where they paused. I noticed which words they stressed. I noticed that some words became shorter in fast speech. At first, I didn't understand why this mattered. Then I tried copying the rhythm, not the person's voice, the rhythm. Suddenly, my English sounded much more natural, not because my vocabulary changed, because my speech had better flow. I learned that pronunciation isn't only about individual sounds, it's also about the music of the language. The recording that changed my mind. One day, I decided to record myself reading a short paragraph in English. When I listened to it, I noticed something surprising. I wasn't speaking as clearly as I thought. Some words were too quiet, others were too fast. I skipped sounds without realizing it. Instead of feeling discouraged, I became curious. I compared my recording with the original speaker. I didn't try to copy everything. I focused on improving just one thing. The next day, I recorded myself again. Then again a few days later. Little by little, I could hear the difference. It wasn't a dramatic change, but it was real. That taught me something important. Sometimes your ears notice progress before your confidence does. One word at a time. In the beginning, I wanted to fix all my pronunciation mistakes at once. That was impossible, so I changed my goal. Every week, I focused on just a few words that I used often. Words like comfortable, improve, language, thought, because. I listened to them, repeated them, used them in sentences. After a while, they became natural. Then I moved on to a few more words. Looking back, I think slow improvement was actually faster than trying to learn everything at once. The biggest lesson I learned. If I had to summarize everything I've learned about pronunciation in one sentence, it would be this. Don't be afraid of sounding imperfect. Be afraid of never practicing. Every time you say a word out loud, you're training your mouth, your ears, and your brain to work together. Some days you'll notice improvement. Some days you won't. But every day you practice, you're building a stronger foundation. And one day, you'll say a word that used to feel impossible without even thinking about it. Those are the moments that remind me why I keep learning. Today's learning moment. Today's word is pronounce. Pronounce means to say a word in a particular way. For example, can you pronounce this word? I pronounced it incorrectly, but now I know how to say it. Pronunciation. Pra-nuns. The stress is on the second syllable. Notice the difference. Pronounce is the verb, the action. Pronunciation is the noun, the name of the skill. For example, I'm trying to pronounce this word correctly. My pronunciation is improving. Today's English challenge. Here's today's challenge. Choose 5 English words that you use often. Don't choose difficult words. Choose useful ones. Find the correct pronunciation. Listen carefully. Repeat each word 5 times. Then make one sentence with each word and record yourself. Tomorrow, listen to your recording again. Can you hear any improvement? Even a small improvement is progress. Question of the day. I'd love to know your answer. Which English word is difficult for you to pronounce? Write it in the comments. Maybe another learner has struggled with the same word, and maybe we can learn from each other. Before we finish, when I first started learning English, I believed good pronunciation was something people were born with. Now I know that's not true. Good pronunciation is built through practice, through listening, through repeating, through making mistakes, through trying again. I'm still learning. There are still words I pronounce incorrectly. There are still sounds that are difficult for me. But I'm not embarrassed by that anymore because every mistake teaches me something, and every day I practice, I become a little clearer than I was yesterday. If you're learning English right now, I hope you remember this. You don't need a perfect accent to communicate. You need clear speech, patience, and the courage to keep practicing. That's the journey I'm on, and I'm glad you're on it with me. Thank you for spending part of your day with me here on English Flow. If this episode helped you, please like the video. It helps other English learners discover the channel. And if you'd like to continue learning with me, subscribe for new episodes where I share real lessons from my own English learning journey. Until next time, keep listening, keep speaking, keep practicing. And remember, every word you pronounce today is one step closer to speaking English with confidence tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.